Hey y'all, welcome to the very first episode ever of Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm Mary Horlander and I am so excited to be talking to you right now, doing this. It's totally surreal. Never thought I would be doing this in a million years. So thank you so much for being here. We of course have to start this series off with a bang, and what could be a bigger bang than talking about America's two favorite billionaires, Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and the Department of Government Efficiency, aka DOGE. Now, unless you live under a rock, either accidentally or on purpose, honestly, no judgment, I've done that before, you've probably heard about DOGE. There are so many panic-stricken headlines coming out about agencies rebelling against DOGE, about workers quitting in protest against DOGE.
We're gonna die!
Yeah, so people are panicking. And if they're not panicking, they're ready to go dance in the streets, celebrating all of the extraneous spending being cut by DOGE.
Let's go!
But what's really going on here? Of course, we're not going to rely solely on the reports of the media to figure this out. No, we are going straight to the source. The first source we're going to is, of course, Donald Trump's January 20th executive order establishing DOGE. Now, contrary to seeming popular belief, DOGE was not created out of thin air. In fact, it was a renaming of the United States Digital Service, an Obama-era agency. Section 3 of Trump's executive order reads, "The United States Digital Service is hereby publicly renamed as the United States DOGE Service, USDS, and shall be established in the executive office of the President." Now, don't let this wording, established under the executive office of the President, lead you astray. When USDS was created under the Obama administration, a bill was passed in Congress appropriating $200 million to fund USDS and to establish it under the executive office, which means USDS was always under the authority of the president. It's nothing new. Trump is not seizing some random agency under his control, moving it to be in the executive office to legitimize his authority and staging a coup. That's not what's going on here. Further on in Section 3, the order reads, "Agency heads shall take all necessary steps in coordination with the USDS administrator and to the maximum extent consistent with law to ensure USDS has full and prompt access to all unclassified agency records, software systems, and IT systems. USDS shall adhere to rigorous data protection standards." And in Section 5, "Nothing in this order shall be construed to impair or otherwise affect the authority granted by law to an executive department or agency or the head thereof." Now, I think this is extremely important to note that the agencies are still retaining control. Elon Musk does not have the authority to just go in, gut the programs, and leave.
Show me the money!
He's just making suggestions. We'll get more into it later, but first we're going to dive into USDS and the precedent that it sets for DOGE. From their website, we can glean information as to, what their purpose is, and their purpose has always been to work across government agencies to improve government efficiency. I would say that arguably spending less to get the same work done is, by definition, more efficient, so I kind of think DOGE is doing the same thing, but let's find out. This is what USDS says about what they do, their mission, etc. "We collaborate with public servants throughout the government to address some of the most critical needs and ultimately deliver a better government experience to people." If you need less of my money to get the work done, I think that's a better experience. For me personally, but you can have your own opinion, and that's fine. "We work across multiple agencies and bring best practices from our various disciplines. We might pinpoint opportunities to fix broken processes, predict the effects of policy change, or identify inequities in government services." And finally, they also say that they are bringing the private sector best practices into government work, which is funny because you would think that we hate private sector practices in government work by the way that everyone's responding to DOGE basically acting like the bankrupt trillions of dollars in debt American government is a bankrupt business. Business tycoon Kevin O'Leary recently went on CNN and talked about gutting out spending for bankrupt businesses to recover and said that DOGE should be cutting more spending.
You smell that? What is that?
What?
What's that smell?
A cologne?
No.
Opportunity.
No. Money.
And yeah, it's a little different from how USDS was operating before, but the tenets kind of remain the same, working across agencies to be more efficient and provide a better experience of government to the people. So the original purpose of the United States Digital Service was digitally based. The idea was kind of bringing the government into the 21st century. We're going to make user interfaces better. We're going to help with software. We're going to just make all of our technological things run better, more efficiently, more effectively, so that public services are delivered to the American people in a much better format and for much less money. Jennifer Palka, who helped to start the USDS under the Obama administration as the Deputy Chief Technology Officer, had this to say. The original intent was to create core capacity for digital expertise within the center of government. USDS is helpful not only because it rescues government projects, but also seeds more transformational changes to how the government does its work. USDS was framed as a sort of SWAT team to serve as an emergency service to help buoy struggling tech projects across federal agencies, in much the same way several of its founders were deployed to save healthcare.gov. I think, though, it is worth noting that the USDS was originally only technology-based. DOGE is not. So while the tenets are the same, and I'm, calling out certain examples of how the precedent was set, and it's kind of holding true to that, it is also expanding its reach. That is very true. I think this article also sheds some very interesting light on the emergence of DOGE. When the Biden administration took over at the start of 2021, they switched the USDS leadership position to a presidential appointee role, as it was during the Obama administration. The White House also added some new political roles to USDS, dubbed Senior Advisors for Delivery, to detail to White House policy councils, such as the Domestic Policy Council. To some, these decisions are evidence that the Biden administration abandoned a more nonpartisan approach cultivated during the Trump years to the potential detriment of USDS. Why wouldn't it be used for that purpose, since Biden used USDS for its border policies? Asked a former USDSer who now works elsewhere in government. And also, a former Biden administration official called the idea that USDS is nonpartisan a strategic mythology, meant to give the team more autonomy in picking its work. Like other parts of the government that aren't explicitly independent agencies, part of the job of USDS is to implement the priorities of the president. The USDS was already partisan. It wasn't Donald Trump who made them partisan. In fact, during his first administration, the administration kind of didn't know what to do with USDS. They weren't totally sure if it should still exist and under what capacity. And Biden's the one who changed all that. The media is framing this as Donald Trump's unprecedented power grab. But USDS was already operating under the authority of the president, under the agenda of the president, and across agencies. Again, technologically based, but much of what it's doing is still the same. But wait, there's more, because of course, there is more, there is always more. In investigating the USDS's website and its various previous projects, it can be found that they have worked with the likes of the IRS, refugee admissions, Medicaid, immigration, and even the Pentagon. In fact, in January 2016, the digital service team got approval for the Hack the Pentagon program, inviting private citizens to find and get rewarded for uncovering vulnerabilities in its information security system. This bug bounty approach mirrors that used by companies like Facebook and Twitter to catch more vulnerabilities and cost-effectively improve security. So everyone's absolutely freaking out, losing their minds, like, oh my gosh, Elon Musk is gonna have access to all of our personal data. Oh my gosh, we're gonna have a data breach. Oh my gosh, he's like working with the IRS and the Department of Education and our data is not secure anymore. But until they tell us otherwise, it is only fair to assume USDS has had access to our private information on multiple different accounts through multiple different agencies in the past under other administrations. This is nothing new. It's spun in a partisan way, a biased way by the news to freak people out. But if you're freaked out about this, you should be freaked out about all the other times too, not just Musk and Trump. The executive order even states that DOGE is going to operate under data protection policies. They're not just going to release all of your personal information out onto the internet. No. I'm quite certain that your data is no less secure than it was a year ago. Pretty darn sure. And finally, we need to address the claim that Elon Musk himself personally is cutting the spending of federal government agencies. This is strictly untrue, which I think is evidenced quite clearly by the fact that headlines are now coming out about agency heads resisting Elon Musk and his suggestions to cut funding. They couldn't resist if he could just slash it himself. That literally would not be possible. The Trump administration has now come out and it's been confirmed that Elon Musk is a special government employee, and I believe I just saw that they finally released the name of the head of DOGE, and it's not Elon Musk. Special government employees can only work for 130 days in a 365-day period. They can be paid or unpaid. Elon Musk is not getting paid for his work at the government, and they're given a lot of this, basically the same clearance as government employees. Special government employees also have to have ethics rundowns and make financial disclosures, conflict of interest declarations, all of which Elon Musk is doing and or is prepared to do. There are over 1,000 special government employees working right now. So Musk is not the only one, okay, when everyone's like, oh my gosh, this like unelected dude is making all these decisions, guys. I hate to break it to you, but this has been going on. A lot of bureaucrats with a lot of power are unelected and not necessarily confirmed by the Senate, okay? Which side tangent, guys, as if the Senate approvals actually meant anything, because I think what we've seen during this administration, I'm sure the previous 4 administrations, is that Senate approvals, it's a game. It's partisan based. They're not actually voting based on qualifications. Come on. Let's be realistic. On both sides. No. Anyway, they have a lot of power. They have a lot of clearance, and they are unelected. Elon Musk is no different than the rest of these special government employees and a bunch of other bureaucrats. He's really not. This is just being reported on because people are upset that all of their spending is being exposed.
I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
One of the key communication principles that is running rampant in all of this media coverage is the idea that you don't have to lie to mislead. As I was researching, I found this one article talking about Elon Musk, special government employees, and conflicts of interest. And they were saying how Musk and Trump were talking about, if Trump thinks that there's a conflict of interest for Elon Musk, they're not going to let him work on that. Elon Musk, if he thinks there's a conflict of interest, he's not going to work on it. And the article was all like, it's not supposed to be up to Elon Musk to determine if there's a conflict of interest. That's the Department of Justice. And they framed it in such a way as if to say that Elon Musk is trying to override the powers of the Department of Justice to declare conflicts of interest and won't listen if the DOJ says, no, you have a conflict of interest. That's literally not what's happening. It's framing. It's framing everyone. If you look at any legislators in the state, in the federal government, they declare conflicts of interest themselves. And then ethics committees, Department of Justice, whoever, also looks for and confirms conflicts of interest. Musk and Trump are just saying, we're going to try and be transparent about this. I mean, if you trust them, I don't know your political leanings, but they're literally just saying, we're going to look for conflicts of interest and we're going to declare them. And so clearly, if the Department of Justice rules that there's a conflict of interest, if they're acting in accordance to what they're saying, they're going to abide by that. Just like any other government employee, like ever. Conflicts of interest can still be declared and will be declared, I'm sure. They probably already are being declared. I mean, I don't completely live in the news cycle, but I believe there's like a legal action being taken against Elon Musk and DOGE right now. So yes, USDS has evolved, but I use that word very intentionally because it seems to me that the mission, the effects are still very much the same: to improve the government for the American people. Maybe you don't agree that the changes they're making are improvements, but you may not agree that the previous changes were improvements. Now, of course, people are concerned, and probably rightly so, about what this means for the power of the president, executive orders, bureaucratic power. And y'all, I'm not here to tell you that that's not a problem. But what I will say is this: if you are mad, if you are worried about the immense power of bureaucrat Elon Musk, you should be mad and worried about all of the other bureaucrats with immense power who are being exposed by DOGE. They've had immense power for a very long time. The spending that's getting...
Come on, try getting it out. Try getting it out.
I'll get it out.
purged needs to be purged. It needs to be slashed. I don't know that this was the best way to do it, but guys, somebody had to do it. Let's deal with the fallout later a little bit, please. But I think that we need to look at this more objectively, with more reasoning, and not just jump to a conclusion because the news media is framing it a certain way. Not just jump to a conclusion because we really like or really dislike Donald Trump. We need to look at this as informed citizens. That's just a fact. That's what we need to do. I find it a bit ironic that people are really mad about this unelected official gutting the corruption of other unelected officials. Like, at least they're taking themselves out. You know, like, it's just, you gotta admit, it's kind of funny. So the question then is this: is this really an unprecedented power grab? Or are Elon Musk and Donald Trump simply assessing the cards they've been dealt? Playing the game that has been played for years and winning. Thank you so much for watching Down the Rabbit Hole. Follow along to see what we uncover next, and have a great day.